for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Super Cross stands loud, proud, and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited. Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show. Today, we have a real treat. Today, we're going to be talking with Jason Fishman, who is the CEO and founder of Digital Niche Agency. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. You're going to learn. But Jason is like the guru of marketing a crowdfunding campaign. So if you're an entrepreneur interested in raising capital from the crowd, this is an episode to bookmark and come back to over and over again. Jason, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Devin. You are a thought leader in the space, and to be able to share the stage with you for a conversation, it's been something I've been looking forward to on my calendar as well.
Thank you so much. We're thrilled to have you. I want to just jump in, and I'm going to dance around a little bit, but I want to jump in. What is the most simple, salient tip for marketing a crowdfunding campaign? What's the golden nugget?
Make sure you get enough traffic. Issuers, founders who are issuing shares think, hey, I'm going to get my Reg CF campaign, my regulation crowdfund offering up, and people are just going to find it. It's the World Wide Web, billions of people a day online. I'm going to be able to raise $5 million in 2 months. And that's simply not the case. It's really, I would say, the top 10% of issuers that hit the full goal. Only 7% on Reg CF last year hit $1 million or more. And I think the major reason why is they don't have enough prospects getting to their offering page. So I could say advertising and, hey, run some meta advertising. We have audiences that are historical equity crowdfunding investors. There's different detailed targeting you could use online to reach these folks as well and get them to your page. It could be through financial email newsletters. It could be through your first degree network, and it should be, at least in the first stages. But whatever you do, have some traffic goals. You probably need 50,000 visitors per $1 million raised on a Reg CF, and your page has to be converting. It's all contingent upon that. But I can't tell you how many of these rounds I see that simply don't have enough people getting to the deal.
Yeah, it's a great tip. And I'm so glad we started there. I want to step back now. Like I said, I'm gonna bounce around.
Sure.
You're gonna think I'm a little need of help, but where I want to go is let's take a little step back. Let's talk about your career history and DNA, Digital Niche Agency. How did all that come about?
Sure.
The history.
It'll be my pleasure. Getting to share my story here. I started the company in 2014 as a growth marketing agency. My history was in advertising, ad tech, working with a lot of Fortune 500s, one out of 100 vendors on a campaign. And I wanted to be more involved. I wanted to get involved in the startup community here in Los Angeles, which I was a part of prior. And we were running campaigns for startup to mid-market organizations. I found capital raising to be a common theme, a common initiative, whether it was, hey, can you work on the marketing section of our business plan? Can you build this investor pitch deck? Could you run a first campaign for us with positive results? We're going to present this to the investors and scale, get more capital, even participating in those investor meetings themselves. We were always brought to the discussion. And around that time, I was introduced to Regulation D 506C, which basically allows for solicitation of accredited investors, individuals with $1 million net worth outside of their primary home, multiple years of 200K or more individual income, 300 household income, utilizing data partnerships I had from my advertising days, my ad network days. I was able to build audiences to reach those individuals, saw success, was introduced to more issuers and more groups involved in the evolving world of equity crowdfunding. We actually got some attention from the reward crowdfunding world at that point, and we were being white labeled by Kickstarter and Indiegogo advertising marketing agencies, I should say. We were being white labeled for advertising services, and they were the ones who were marketing the first Reg CF campaigns, and we were running ads. We had ads live day one of Reg CF back in May of 2016. They kept bringing me into those account management conversations, goes against the white label concept a bit, and eventually just said, hey, you guys should run these. We're going to send them all to you. And we've now worked on over 400 Reg CF, Regulation A+, Reg D, investment crowdfunding deals that have collectively produced 9 figures of capital. I showcase the results on my podcast, and have over 170 episodes, each with a different guest each week. Many of them clients, portals, accountants, lawyers, quarterbacks in this industry, talking about what they tested, how to optimize, any tips towards scale, test, optimize, scale. That's not just the name of the show, but my philosophy towards marketing. Also part of the Forbes Agency Council, earning 5,000 company, serve alongside Devin here on the Crowdfund Professionals Association board. Want to do whatever I can to get the insights out there to see a higher success rate industry-wide.
This is really great stuff. So, I think that if I could summarize, you know exactly what the hell you're doing. That, you're not making this up. You're not improvising.
Yes.
How to market a Reg CF or Reg A crowdfunding campaign to reach more people. Now, I want to dig into an important nuance. I'm convinced anyone can raise some money from the crowd. Now, I admit readily that not everyone can raise enough, right? And so maybe it doesn't make sense for some to do it, but everyone can raise some. Here's the question. Once someone raises from their core group, establishes a foundation, establishes that their offering page converts, as you mentioned, can you help someone build a campaign? Or maybe I should say, how can you help someone build a campaign that would convert strangers, people who aren't customers, aren't friends, aren't in the community yet, to become an investor, a backer? Can you do it? How do you do it?
Sure. So you said I know how to run these campaigns, and I do. But as part of that knowledge base, I understand that not all campaigns are going to hit their goals. I have to do a good job of explaining the risks, and it's a matter of, calculated risk. It's a matter of doing whatever you can to hit the goals, understanding not every fundraise works, not every marketing campaign works. There are inherent risks here. Can I tell you that any campaign with enough raised, meaning that first degree network showed up and was able to hit the first goals, could get cold investors, people that are not affiliated with the brand, to participate? No, there would be no way of saying 100% of the time this is going to happen. But you're pointing at the right fundamentals here. The first question I ask a prospective issuer is, how large is your audience? And I keep it open-ended. I want to hear what they're going to say. Maybe they have an email list that's 10,000, 100,000 more, customers, followers, email subscribers. And that's very important. Maybe they don't, but they say, I've put a list together of 200 people that I know, and I'm going to call them directly. And this is a big distinction. I've seen founders say, we've exhausted all our resources. You guys do your thing. Speaking to an agency, speaking to the portal, and it's really not common to see those issuers succeed as much as the founders who are the most proactive. And when I talk about my case studies, when I talk about campaigns I've been a part of, I point towards the founders and say we're working on their behalf, their product, their company, that their own personality and presentations are what made this campaign work. We were just getting more people there. But you pointed out you need to have some initial groundswell of traction. You're able to get over 100K showcased on your page for how much has been raised. You're going to be in a much better spot. It's tougher to get an investor who's never heard of you or your organization before to put in funds if you've raised under 20K and you're talking about how you're going to transform the energy industry or automotive industry or automated retail industry, whatever it may be. It's a tough sell at that point where there are social dynamics at play on these campaigns. So prospective investors are looking for the line around the block. Traditional VC, everyone wants to be first to be second, meaning they want to see the deal validated and then they hop on and they get involved. And I make a lot of these offline, online comparisons. Online allows for more scale, a word I use a lot. And it's the same thing true in these digital environments, where if I get to a page, there's under 100K invested, they have big claims, it has a bit of the empty restaurant sensation, where if I get to a deal and, there's 500K raised from over 500 people, the average investment's usually pretty low, $1,000 maybe. People could be participating just to support you, just to back you. And that's why those warm audiences, those first degree audiences are so important. And I see press and, hey, this week the founder's speaking at a conference. Next week they're on this podcast. Look at this new partnership they put together. Look at this lead investor talking about why they participated, all as part of their social feeds. And then maybe I sent them for an email. I'm getting emails about this. I can see it in the update section of their offering page. It tells me something that empty restaurant type issuer does not. So to build on top of that, you're going to have a much easier time with marketing, especially digital marketing, and getting a better conversion rate if you're able to point at some social proof.
That is really kind of a fascinating discussion. And, it's my hope, belief that with help from you, we could catalyze investment in part around a sense of mission and purpose. That a purpose-driven entrepreneur with a clear mission, let's say climate, would be able to tap into that community of climate-conscious folks to build an audience. Is that a thread you can build on, do you think?
Absolutely. So the most proactive founders have the most successful raises. Do you need a huge audience? No. Is it a good head start? Absolutely. Should you get as many people in your first degree network as possible to participate, even if they've already invested, and it's just to have them come in at the minimum level, but to be able to show more investors to prospective audiences who are getting there? Yes. And then as they get to your offering page, you want to have a video that audiences are able to connect with you on a personal level. And speaking to your mission, speaking to why, speaking to everything you'd see in a pitch deck of, problem, solution. And you have to be careful about forward-looking statements, but painting a picture of where the industry is going and having all of that reflected in more detail on the offering page itself. Now, that offering page should pass the glance test. That offering page should provide a lot more intel to someone who's thinking about investing and looking to get as much info as they can about the deal. But that's where they're going to be able to check their boxes off. Do I trust this founder? Do I think they can do it? Do I want them to do it? Impact investing, impact driven companies, that there's this emotional connection. And in fact, when I've interviewed investors, whether it's at conferences or through different focus groups we've run, or even through my podcast, I've had some larger investors on my podcast. Those who participate in Reg CF offerings, in crowd structured capital raises, they have different motives than traditional private equity investors. I mean, first of all, many of them are retail versus accredited, but I hear things such as, I wanted to invest in a company that is involved in aerospace. And, airships stood out to me, and that's referring to a specific deal. Or, I kept reading about nootropics, and I was fascinated by what this organization was doing and started reading up on the impact it has on the brain. And I want to be a part of this. They're not necessarily putting in funds to put into their to have this in their portfolio to retire, as much as they want to be part of that adventure, and they feel that connection. They feel the sense of contribution by doing so.
Yeah, this is really cool. Well, listen, everybody, I am just thrilled. Here we've got with us today Jason Fishman, the CEO of Digital Niche Agency, and we're talking about how to market a campaign really beyond your core group, your first level network. It's just been a fascinating discussion, but we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Jason about his superpower. So stick around. You don't want to miss this.
You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started, or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can beat a green at Raise Green.
Want to learn from the world's great change makers? Find your superpower. Subscribe to the Superpowers for Good newsletter at superpowersforgood.com. Make your strengths into superpowers that will change the world. Join the super crowd today. Superpowers4good.com.
Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal, to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with one of the world's great crowdfunding gurus, Jason Fishman, the CEO of Digital Niche Agency. We've had just a great conversation about how to grow your market beyond your first level network. And we're going to shift gears now to talk to him about his superpower. So stick around. It's going to be a great conversation. Jason, you're kind of kicking butt and taking names. What's your superpower?
I've been asked this question before, and I've answered in more of a business mindset, but I think it's around getting people excited. And I've been able to take those same concepts, those same principles of thinking what would get me jazzed about a situation, about a product, about an investment opportunity, and incorporate that into our marketing campaigns, translate that into more engaging messaging, visuals, the old concept of, sell me this pen. There's a lot of different ways to market these campaigns, and it's all about the presentation. So I think it's around that. Friends, family have told me things like that, and I know how to rally friends around a snowboard trip or something that I enjoy, and I really get fulfillment out of this application, because many startups, many businesses as a whole fail around undercapitalization. So to be at the forefront of their investor acquisition campaigns and use those same superpowers towards their fundraising, it's very rewarding. It's great to be a part of.
Yeah. As you think about this superpower, I wonder if you can think of a specific time when you use this ability to get people excited to accomplish something you're proud of. What's an example that you could share with us?
I could think campaign specific. I could think of some things I've done with conference organizers. I could think I'd have to remove some names from some conversations, but I've worked with portals and how they structure their pixel placement and their audience development, and how that can be used for advertising to reach the right individuals, and all based on sharing my excitement for the results that are potentially available, and what that means for the issuers and their next stages of growth, what that means for future rounds on their platforms. I've had to do so. This is kind of cool. I've worked with brands to get celebrities and influencers not only involved, but to use their ad account. It's a difficult conversation to tap dance with, because you're asking them to share data. Now, on the Meta advertising platform, Facebook and Instagram, you can share a custom audience. That custom audience could be an email list. It could be a social page audience. So it could be millions of people if you're talking about an athlete. If you're talking about, a shark from Shark Tank, a musician, someone who has a critical mass that's large and responsive behind them. So I've had to navigate conversations to get them to share an audience with an ad account we're running, get approval to run ads from their page to their audience, use them in the advertisement, which makes a lot of sense, right? Someone approaches you and says, hey, we can use you in content to your audience and get, thousands of views of your offering page a day with it, or of this brand that you're associated with. So difficult conversations, because they could be an easy no. I mean, people are sensitive, they're scared around data, but being able to show my passion around it, I've been able to get a lot of those deals done, and then seeing stronger performance, and everyone was pretty happy at the end of the day.
That's great. Great example. Now, all of us, it doesn't matter what aspect of life we're in, there's always a need to be able to communicate enthusiasm and excitement and share that with others. And I think most of us at times struggle with that. How would you coach us to do that better?
So I didn't prepare anything for this, just so the audience knows. I'm thinking of it all on the spot. And these aren't the standard everyday questions that I get. In fact, a lot of what I would do in these scenarios is subconscious. There are some great pieces of literature out there, books with negotiators, Never Split the Difference, different pieces of content that can give you exact formulas around it. I had mentioned before, I try to put myself in the shoes of whoever I'm speaking to. And I was taught at a young age, sales is a transfer of energy. So I want to get energy transferred to the other side. I don't mean that in some type of, holistic way, as much as I want the other side to feel what I'm feeling. So if it's a level of seriousness, alarm, joy, opportunity, I want to ask myself, what would I want to hear on the other side to get me interested? So when we're working on a marketing strategy, as an example, I've built a model called the 8-point plan. I've written about it with different publishers. I lead workshops on it. And after doing the industry overview and the competitor marketing audit, where you're physically looking at what other brands in your space are doing to obtain market share, in this case, what other Reg CF, what other Regulation A+ issuers are marketing today in your vertical or historically in your vertical, you're going to see some audiences that are consistent there. And then as you're learning about the audience, the more you understand them, the more you can reach them on the right channel, the right touch point, the right part of their day, and with messaging that's going to enroll, not just get them to buy, but feel empowered throughout the process. So what's going to, and I break them down to a persona level, what's going to make, Steve, who's in his 50s and works in finance and follows these channels to move forward, is going to be different than, Mark, who's in his 30s and maybe follows the vertical of that issuer in a more direct way. And determining needle for Steve or Mark can make all the difference. I have all the answers. I don't want you to think you're going to be able to nail this in the first shot. Philosophy, because you have to test different audiences, includes different calls to action, identify pockets of performance. If it's advertising, reallocate spends to those levels. So it's a constant game of trial and error.
Excellent. Jason, before we wrap up, how can people get in touch? How can they learn more?
I'm based here in Marina Del Rey in Los Angeles. Come by for a meeting. Find me on LinkedIn, Jason Fishman. You see my name here. send me an invite, a message on LinkedIn. Reach out to us through our website, digitalnicheagency.com, and my team could direct it my way. I could get you onto the calendar. I welcome a warm marketing discussion anytime. I enjoy speaking about this, even if it doesn't sound like there's a opportunity to work together. I want to meet as many issuers as I can, portals, anyone who's involved in the
Excellent.
space. I look at it as a duty.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We wish you every success in your continued work helping crowdfunders succeed in their capital raises.
Thank you, Devin. Thanks again for having me on. It's been a privilege.
All righty, let's do some good.